So item 8, the Capital Projects Performance Report. Ruth, welcome to the table. Thank you. And again, if we can take any headline or introductory comments before we move to questions. And again, noting that you've got heads of service available, you've got appropriate managers available to be talking to their areas and also answer any questions on their particular areas as well.
Cool, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So the report in front of you, status is at March this year. There is an update on the slide in front of you, also available on the hub that shows our April status. Just bearing in mind that all April actuals are not yet in. So focusing on our core program, up there on the left-hand side, on the top left, all of council, we are forecasting a delivery of 358.4 against the 376.8. That would give us a result of 95% spend against budget, or a carry forward of 18.4 million. So you can see also the breakdown by our key delivery units also to indicate what they are forecasting to deliver against their core program. Our above the line projects at the bottom left there, Parakiori and CMUA, as you know, these are delivered by third parties. The forecasts that we receive are reflected directly in our system from them, so we have no influence on those forecasts. Spend to date, so an update on the March spend, because at the time of writing within the report it noted that spend was at 94%, delivery units achieved 97% to the end of March, and as of today, with April not yet closing, delivery units have spent 82% of their forecasted spend. So that would bring us a total spend to date of 306 across all of capital, or 2.8.9 against the core program. So in our final months, just a reminder that June is a double month of spend, so we accrue all June costs within June so that they're captured in the financial year that the work has been completed. So that means we have 3 months of spend remaining. So we have $109 million forecast for spend left on our core program. So I'll be asking the delivery units to come up one at a time to speak to their forecasts remaining. For your reference, in the papers that you have, refer to pages 44 and 46, showing the breakdown of each month. They'll be speaking to that. And you'll also note that in those slides this month, you can see the change from their previous month forecast. So firstly, transport, so they're forecasting a remaining spend of 43 million, and last year they spent 37 million in May and June. Lynette can talk to that. You have a voice.
I have a voice this month, thank you. Morning, everyone. So as last month, we have a number of large projects under contract and under construction. There's a number of cycleway contracts out there on South Express, Norwest Arc, Heathcote, Rapanui 3 that are underway and working. We are looking to get a couple of small bits of Northern Line off the Kiwi Rail corridor started, so they're being worked on at the moment as well. There is more that has been contracted. Cashmere Hoon Hay Wesley's has been tendered. I'm going to a tender session later this morning about Coastal Pathway, so there's a lot more work under contract than we were in the same position last year. So that's why we have the confidence of spend.
Next, Three Waters, so they're forecasting a remaining spend of 52 million. Last financial year, Three Waters spent 30 million in May and June. Tell it.
Hello everyone, my name is Talat. Last year we were forecasting and achieved less because our curve was front loaded. We had lots of construction projects which were tapering down from last year, but this time we have done all the hard work and we have done all the procurements, and the projects are coming into construction every week, every month. So that's why we are forecasting more, 52 million in the last months. And most of them are from the reticulation projects, big reticulation projects, which are 35 in numbers. And in next month, they all will be in construction. So it's easy spend, which will come from the contractors' progress payments.
Cool.
Thank
If
you.
you have any particular question,
I will do that at the end.
We'll come to questions all together at the end, but thank you very
And then
much.
finally, Darren with the community forecasting a spend of 5 million. Last year they also spent 5 million.
Kia ora koutou katoa. I've got to shift 5 million in the next 3 months, imminently achievable. It's a portfolio of 143 projects from the ground up. That's the community portfolio. The $5 million aggregates around about half a dozen projects. Final accounts on St Albans Community Centre, the Edmund Band Rotunda. We're doing $1 million worth of hard surface paving in the Botanic Gardens at the moment. That'll be cleared by the end of the financial year. And some significant work at the Pioneer Pool, so I can see where the money's going to come, and with the reforecast there, imminently achievable in the time to run.
Thank you.
Thanks. And then finally, major facilities. We don't have Alistair in the room at the moment.
Behind
He's
you.
right here.
Hi, Alistair. Welcome.
Clearly your timing was perfect.
So 31.4 million forecast for the next few months.
Yep. So the issues that we've had are obviously with regard to Metro Sports facility itself and also the CMUA. Metro Sports is forecasting some. The forecast is based on their productivity. We are presented the figures and we input the figures according to the project delivery team, being CPB and Otakaro. We know that there are some substantial sums to be met, and they're looking highly unlikely that they'll meet those, with the June figure being 10.4 million at the moment, which is an unknown really in the Christchurch market, but we'll see if they get there eventually. The second part would be CMUA, and we all know that CMUA, B6 Wattpac have been appointed. With them being appointed, we're now starting to see a forecast come from them. And we've started geotech work, and we're deep into the design teams at the moment, and we're expecting the first invoice, which will be around about 2.5 million. So we're starting to see the forecast come to light and the spend profile being met. So, and we expect that to be the same for the next 12 months. So, confident with that.
Cool. I'll just call out a couple more things and then go to questions. So the watch list report, page 62. Our Cherm Street Brick Barrel project had practical completion in April. There's just some final resurfacing works to be completed this week. And then the external funded report, page 65, our Northwest Arc cycle routes, section 1A, 1B and 1C are also now complete. I'll take any questions. Potentially with the major facilities, I'd recommend that any specific questions relating to those portfolios be taken later in the agenda. We've got the update from Alistair later on.
Great. Thank you. So ready to take questions now? Pauline.
Thanks, Ruth. Just on page 42, when we talk about the Three Waters, and there's actual savings there of 10 million because of, what does it say? Oh, just various reasons, competitive low prices, conforming tenders. Now, underneath that, it looks at purchasing land for stormwater activity and future-proofing that. Is that intended to come out of the 10 million, or is that stormwater land purchases already budgeted for, leaving us with a real surplus?
Yeah, the latter. So the land purchase is already part of the forecast. So Three Waters are currently looking for opportunities to accelerate projects to bring them back to fill in that 9.4 million.
Great, that's good news. Thank you.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah, Dawn, certainly.
So unusually, you'll hear me say this, Pauline, is that for once it's a good thing that we have 9 million, because actually we're getting sharper prices. Yeah. And that's a good thing means we can be recycling the money into elsewhere.
Thank you. Jimmy.
Oh yes, in this item, classification or just specific pages, I just want to know. This item.
Sorry to understand.
On page 61.
Oh, 61.
The first update status regarding to the full material purchase from overseas, the postal junction extension, whether will impact those delivery date in May of 2022.
There's no comments in the report. It's all green.
So yes, it's all green.
Hello?
It's all green. It's all going for May 22.
We
It is-
received
it is-
already.
Received what? Sorry?
Purchase material from Australia and Italy.
We're not purchasing that material. Kiwi Rail are purchasing that material.
Yes.
But we are looking to go to tender soon, is my understanding.
So Hallswell
this
Junction
is
Road extension is showing
It's
as
showing
green.
green on track. Yes.
So, but my understanding, they have a full material purchase from the overseas, to Australia, to from Italy, a period of time. I just want to know
And
update status.
our project manager is working with Kiwi Rail to understand that and is reporting in this report that things are on track to meet the requirements and to meet these timeframes.
Okay. Second is the page 63. What's update status, multicultural recreation and the community center? Those one. This is green, but I'm not sure whether have any the progress or not.
It's being investigated in Scotland.
There's, so what was the question, Jimmy? Sorry, I
My
was...
question is update status
Yeah,
regarding
so
to
it's
this one.
the progress at the moment is it sits with the governance team at the moment because they're still working through and negotiating the next steps, if you will. So we were allocated the project to look at what we could do across with the property itself, and then what we could do across the portfolio, and see where we could slot changes needing to be made into the play. That's now gone back to John Phil Selva with regards to the next steps from a governance perspective. So that's the update that I can give you. The money's still in play. We're just not spending any of that money at all at the moment.
Yeah, but in here, you know, your signal is still green. In my view, if a little bit uncertainty, it should be the
No, there's no uncertainty.
green
It's,
to the
it's about
amber.
it's no uncertainty. It's about consultation. That's all. So it's just the next steps. We're just going through a process. John's leading that process, and I'll get John to give you an update.
Okay.
Okay.
Last question. Yep. Okay. On page 67, the Crown Regeneration Acceleration Fund, CRAF for $40 million. I'm not sure, except these 5 projects, you know, total investigate for 10 million, have any the projects in relation to the southwest area, particular Hallswell and the Hornby area, because those traffic, you know, congestion is quite serious. I'm not sure whether have any the project in relation to.
So the CREF money
Yeah,
is
yeah,
the
yeah, 40
regeneration
million.
money, the 40 million, and
Yes.
that was all reported to council. And there's 5 geographic areas and money for safety projects and PT projects. The geographic areas, there's a Hallswell, no, there's a Riccarton geographic area that is covered with the works, and that's underway as per everything we've discussed previously.
Yeah, but my concern, but how about the Hallswell and the Hornby area? Those the traffic one.
This has all been agreed.
Have any overall
This
review?
has all been agreed previously.
So there were
By you
previous
as
decisions of council
Yeah.
On those
which
areas.
determined the priority areas. So staff are obviously then working on projects within the areas that we previously as governors decided would be the priority areas.
And then was put into the business case, which
Yes.
was submitted to central government, which is what they have signed off, and therefore we need to deliver in the areas that have been agreed.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Jan?
Thank you. Just on page 60, right at the top, we've got the Naval Point Development Plan, where they said the original delivery date was June 2015, but I think that, I don't know if that's a typo or, and then it's got the approved delivery date January 2027. But given that we've got the sale GP and we've made a sort of commitment to do stuff, does that need to be updated or have a separate section just so we can have confidence that the facilities will be ready in time?
The adopted master plan is envisaged to be delivered over that period of time, over that 10-year time frame or thereabouts. The piece of work we're doing now, the carve out to create the car park to allow the sale GP event to take place, is moving at pace, and we'll have that complete by Christmas. The date for the total project completion, I think, sounds about right, 6 to 7 years out. What was the
2027.
27.
27. Look, I'll have a look at that for next time, but it's certainly that's the way the money's sequenced in the LTP, that we'll be delivering components of the master plan over a long period of time.
Okay.
So remembering this is by exception, clearly it's important that I think it's right that you could just comment on the critical piece in relation to what needs to be done this year.
Oh, yeah.
And if there is, and we ask that that be done, but that only be done if there is an exception issue that isn't being delivered. If it's green and it's fine, then it will be silent on it, because that's the point of the
my
reporting.
understanding from the last briefing we had, there was an exception issue that we needed to think about.
Well, that's not coming through in this report, so
No.
there you are. There's the officer telling you.
We have budget and the LTP proposed to be able to deliver upon that master plan, so that's what we've worked towards. The LTP bid, based on the QS costings, and able to deliver everything that came through for approval in the Naval Point Development Plan, is currently proposed within the 10-year LTP at 27 million, I think was the number.
Right, okay.
The councillor is concerned, quite rightly, to make sure that we deliver in this first year specifically to the agreement that we have.
Yeah, so my understanding was we came back and did some sort of substitution to find the additional funding that was required, that there were different options of things that we could do, different choices that we had based on the requirements, and more work had been going into detailed design.
I might let Andrew talk to that, as it's his budget that we're delivering on behalf of Andrew.
But the key thing, I mean, just in terms of the
So
key concern
you'll
is
recall that we presented
ready.
to council a more it's been through a bit of a process. There was the bid deadline that needed to be met, and there were some early numbers that were put in front of council. Subsequent to that, we came back with some more detailed numbers, and there was an increase in budget required to deliver the component that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And at that time, we discussed options on how we could slide money effectively to end up with the same net balance for the LTP and have no impact on the LTP across other projects. So that position hasn't changed.
Right.
And as Darren has pointed out, yes, there's lots going on in terms of negotiating how to move the project forward, but it's on track. There's no exception to report at this point in time.
Okay. And I think the other thing, I mean, obviously we're keen to get the work done that needs to be done as a minimum, but I think we also gave direction if there was opportunities to do more in a shorter time frame that we would look at.
If you're referring to in regard to the Sale GP event,
yeah, I mean, just having the
there
place
simply won't be you won't have time to add elements that are not critical to that event. But we're absolutely looking at efficiencies in terms of, we're opening up the ground. If it needs to go in now to support the long term, that's happening.
Great. Okay. Just the other question I had was in regards to the Cycleway project. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the page. It's listed as red. It's the Tannery to Martindales. Sorry, the page 64. So just trying to kind of understand. Obviously, there's additional funding that's needed. But when are we likely to see the detailed design? I know we've lodged the consent. Have we got the consent approved, or what's kind of happening there?
We don't need consent for all of it.
Right.
We need consent for parts of it. Some of the consents are in, and some of the approvals for working in for easements and others are in. So some of the work can go ahead. Others, it's all being worked in parallel. It is still showing I haven't got it on my. Ruth's got it on the list. It is still showing an overspend. The team and the construction crews are working to pull that back as much as they can. It was higher than that a couple of months ago, so we are still working on that before we come back and report back to you and ask to utilise the contingency that is the program level contingency that is sitting there. So trying to do everything they can to pull that back and be more certainty on their costs before we come and ask to use other funds.
So do we know what the changes are that Kiwi Rail have required? Is that typical to all the other crossings as well?
Yeah, it is around gates usually.
Okay.
It's usually around pedestrian gates for the crossings.
Right. And
and signals.
the final question on that project, it says the cost associated with Kamana Terrace being two-way. Has that decision been made?
Well, effectively the decision, there is still a report that has to come back to the community board, but effectively the decision was made. We were asked to go out and reconsult. The clarity on that reconsultation has shown to stick with the original decision to keep it two-way.
Okay, so but we're going to get a report back with that result?
It won't be a decision report, it'll be an information report, yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Are there any further questions on this report? Mike.
Thank you. Just one thing, two parts to it. It's good to see that the level crossings, rail crossings have been separated, but there's no actual time frame in there, so I assume that's still late 22?
Yes.
And that's obviously the full
Well, that's
upgrade.
the end of it, end of all of them, yeah.
Sorry, what's that?
The end of all of them, yeah.
Do we have a time frame for the interim solution? Obviously, it's quite a busy road at the moment.
I went digging for that yesterday and I couldn't get that information, so I'll have to come back to you on that one separately.
Thank you. Any further questions? So I'm happy to move the receipt of this report. Do I have a seconder? Sam MacDonald. Is there any debate? All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? That's carried. Thank you.